Does the Iranian regime really have numerous sleeper cells within the United States? Well, Sean Durns, senior research analyst at Camera, joins us now. So, Sean, you just wrote an article for the Washington Examiner about this. What can you tell us?
Yes, as my article is titled, Iran does have sleeper cells in the United States, and they've had them for many years, and it's a key component of the regime's statecraft. They use it to threaten dissidents, to harass critics, and in some cases, to murder them.
So I think if you hear the word sleeper cells, it sounds kind of like this nefarious James Bond thing. Can you maybe walk us through what this actually looks like?
Absolutely. So it is nefarious. Since the regime's inception, since its creation with the Islamic Revolution in 1979, they have used sleeper cells, Iranian operatives on foreign soil, to murder and harass critics. Perhaps most infamously in Germany in the early 1990s, when there was a group of Iranian Kurdish dissidents who were murdered in a Greek restaurant. This was a big scandal at the time, about 3 decades ago, and it resulted in Iran's ambassador to Germany at the time being expelled. There have been other incidents as well of the regime using its operatives on foreign soil, these sleeper cells. For example, in 2011, there was a plot that was uncovered to murder the ambassador, Saudi Arabia ambassador, who was at the time here in D.C. They plotted to blow up a restaurant called Cafe Milan, and this was uncovered and exposed.
So are these sleeper cells basically just, I'm trying to process this in real time with my friend here who is watching this. Is it more or less like a spy agency, or is it one of those things where, as I think the imagination kind of goes, that there are, quote unquote sleeper cells ready to carry out attacks in the United States? Which one is it more like? Is it more like the special agent 007 thing, or is it, maybe a little bit more, the lack of a better word, scary, where, they're here to do damage to a country that they're not thrilled with?
It's both. They do commit acts of espionage. That is absolutely something the sleeper cells do. They do work with terrorist groups. It's worth remembering that Iran is the chief state sponsor of terrorism. They, perhaps most infamously with Hezbollah, which has its own external security apparatus, its own little clandestine capability that Iran can harness. So they do a bit of both. They have been found to commit espionage. Most recently, actually, there are people that were linked to the regime that were spying on U.S. bases in Britain. This was just uncovered the other week. So it's a bit of both.
So I think for a lot of folks, they would say, okay, if there are these, sleeper cells, these Iranian sleeper cells in the United States, why haven't they been activated, right? The United States just attacked Iran's nuclear facilities. If there was any time for this, dark, secret, mysterious thing to be activated, it would be now, and we're not really seeing that. So what's going on?
Well, I think one of the reasons that we haven't seen it is this administration has taken a very proactive approach. Over the weekend, the FBI was alerted shortly after the U.S. airstrikes taking out Iran's nuclear facilities, and so was DHS, which committed a large roundup apprehending roughly a dozen or so that have been announced, perhaps more, a dozen or so Iranian nationals that have been here illegally, some of whom have links to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, some of whom were found to be illegally carrying arms, who are suspected terrorists. And these are people that have been residing on American soil in some instances for years.
So do you see, not to give you the charge of having a crystal ball, but do you see this manifesting in a way that would actually impact my friend here who's watching?
It's certainly possible. One thing that I think is worth recalling is that weakness is provocative. That's always the case in foreign policy, and it's certainly the case in the Middle East. But this regime now sees that there's an administration that's in power that is acting proactively to quash this threat, that isn't going to let Iran get nuclear weapons. President Trump's been very clear about that. And so there isn't any weakness that is provoking the regime. They know that they're dealing with someone who they should take seriously. And if they don't,
and as someone who has dedicated a large part of their lives to, understanding the Middle East, myself included, but not nearly as much as you, my friend, I give you all the kudos. It is a hard thing for folks who have maybe never been to the Middle East or really study the Middle East to understand what you just said, which is this idea of strength. I think a lot of the idea of strength in the West, which isn't, no, I'm not knocking it or I'm not belittling it, is the idea of being kind, of being nice, which
Right.
God bless people who are. But can you maybe walk us through what you mean by strength being what is valued in the Middle East?
Certainly, kindness is something that is foreign to the Islamic Republic and its operatives. These are tyrants, these are bullies, and they respond like most bullies only to force. So the power differential, the difference in balance of power between the United States and the Islamic Republic is vast. As we witnessed with the recent U.S. military mission, Midnight Hammer, to take out these nuclear facilities. We have the power. It resides with us, and we can harness it. Iran is an actor that is great at terrorism, at asymmetrical warfare. They're not a conventional military power. Their conventional military is middling at best. So the power rests with us. And what has been missing has been the will. But with this administration, that's no longer the case.
Well, Sean, thank you for your time, my friend.
Thank you very much, Raj.